really settle. So if you're able to sit like me with the heels into the groin and knees out, you can get the shins to the ground. Always use a couple of blocks under there if that's not an easy thing for you to do. Roll the shoulders around a little bit. Oh, gentle wriggles through the neck. See how that feels. Focus maybe on the breath, slowing it down, breathing in from the belly. And bring the hands together, forearms together, interlace the fingers and roll the wrists. Just giving the tendons and ligaments a little bit of chance to warm up, get a little bit of juice. And we'll shake that out. Allow ourselves to just draw the shoulders up, around, back, following the breath. So some big shapes being drawn through the shoulders. We'll go in the opposite direction. And we're going to take a little twist. So we're going to twist to the left first of all. Just looking over the rear shoulder. And we'll come back to the center. Take it to the second side. And just noticing how the body feels. Noticing whether it feels as open on each side or whether there's any discernible difference. Use that knowledge through the rest of the class if there is a difference. I'm going to come down onto the floor. So I'm just going to move my block out of the way, just by the side. Knees high, hands behind to come down, roll into the ground. We'll draw that right knee in towards the chest. And we'll take the left foot just a fraction out to the side so that the knee points up towards the sky. And we'll draw the belly and the lower back into the ground. And then let the knee roll out towards the armpit. So start to put a little bit of pressure through the hands down onto that shin. We'll release. Bring the feet back. Swap it over to the second side. Just walk that foot out a little bit off center. Draw the belly down as you exhale, and then start to draw the knee in towards the body. It's the afternoon session, so the body's had a little bit of a chance to wake up during the morning. So we can move a little deeper than perhaps we would normally. We'll bring the feet back to the floor. Take a breath, find the strap, just take it around the left foot, lift that up towards the sky. So I'm going to start off with my hands quite close, roll the shoulders down to the floor, pull the whole of my spine into the ground, and then press the heel into the strap. And we'll soften, let that foot come to the floor. Just lift the head so we can see what we're doing for the second side. Taking the strap around the ball joint and big toe and little toe. Now the hands to be high. Slide the strap through the hands, and then a little bit of extra drawing shoulders and spine down to the floor. And allow yourself to press the leg into the strap. So it doesn't have to be completely straight. We're just using the resistance to work the back of the hamstring out a little bit. And then we'll release and let the strap go to the side. Draw both knees in towards the chest. Give ourselves a little hug, so around the spine. And then the hands come to the floor, either side of the buttocks. Point the toes away, squeeze the knees together. Draw the belly in, and this time we're going to try and have the legs point up 90 degrees and getting the backs of the legs as straight as we can for this part of the class. And we spread the toes out nice and wide as well. And press the hands into the floor a little bit and shoulders and the backs of the arms. Draw the belly in. And then we'll draw the knees in towards the chest. Going to roll to my right side. You could roll backwards and forwards if you wanted to. I'm going to take the easier way. Spin round. Take a little breath. And I'm going to come back down to the floor just for a moment and lengthen both legs out down the center line of the mat, point the toes away, and take the hands over towards the front of the mat, interlacing the fingers, index finger points away. And then I'm going to roll the shoulders gently over towards my right side and lengthen out through that left hand a little bit and left arm. So I get a side bend, but I'm trying to keep the legs pressing away, so the toes start to, the feet start to flex in a little bit. So doing a side bend on the ground, it stops any of those unconscious habits in our side bend. It keeps us very honest into just moving laterally. We'll come back into the center, a little wriggle, take a breath, take it over to the other side. So the shoulders move around a little bit, and then working the right arm away. And we'll flex the feet so the legs are active. The thighs are just drawing together a little bit. Come back into the center. Bring the hands down. I'm going to roll onto the belly. Allow myself to bring the hands down to the bottom of the ribs. Press away from the floor. So I'm now facing the right end of the mat. And the hands come underneath the shoulders. Knees underneath the hips for cat-cow. Draw the chest forwards a little bit. Let the spine roll out. Inhale forwards. Exhale out. Forwards with the breath. And exhale out. Coming forwards. And exhale. Come into a neutral, just sit back down onto the heels. Let the head come to the ground, elbows to the floor as I take a breath. And on the exhale, round spine to lift up onto all fours. And draw the chest forward. Let the shoulders roll back a little bit. Start to round the spine, press into the hands, push to the back of the mat, sitting down. Exhale, draw the belly in. Round spine. Inhale, chest forward. Roll it through. And down. Exhale it up. Now we'll take the knees as wide as we can. Big toes touch. Sit back slowly. Allow ourselves to take the hands out. And we'll take a side bend off to the left. And we'll lift and take it to the opposite side. Come towards the center. We'll lift the body just a little bit. Take the right hand underneath. And lay the right shoulder down to the floor. Just walk the fingers of the left hand a little bit further forwards to get more of a stretch down the side of the body. And walk the hand back in, lift up into that slightly higher position. Take the left hand over and under. Drop the shoulder. Walk that right hand out. And yourself to walk the hand back and lift up. Come up onto all fours. Draw the knees underneath. Tuck the toes. Move into our down dog. So we'll come into our down dog position. Walk the feet in about 6 inches or so closer than we would normally have it. And then soften the knees and try and press the ribs into the thighs. And the belly drawn in. And then we'll come into a normal down dog. So we'll take the feet out a little wider. Hips lift, chest sinks. Back of the legs open out a little more. And we'll take the left leg to the sky. Scissor, breath in. Bring the foot down to the floor. We'll take it to the right, scissoring up. And taking it to the left. And to the right. We'll draw the left knee into the chest this time. Bring the foot through into the lunge. Press out through the back heel. Bring the hands to the floor, step back into our down dog. To draw the right knee in, bring that foot through. Then come up onto the fingertips. Strong back leg, pressing out. Bring the hands to the floor. Back into our down dog. This time the left knee comes in, we'll take it to the outside of the left hand. Step it back into down dog. Take a breath in. On the exhale, right knee to the chest and the foot to the right side. Step back into that down dog. Just walk the toes in gently to the front of the mat for small steps. Lifting up on the fingertips. Bring the hands onto the hips. Long spine and a flat back to lift up. Inhale to the sky. Bring the hands through the heart. Slow and low. Lean forward. Soften the knees. And drop down. Hands come onto the hips. Long spine. Lift up. Inhale high. Hands through the heart. Exhale low. Hands onto the hips. Lengthen one more time. We'll come up. And then this time we'll come down to the floor. We're going to take a half forward fold. Easing down. So the hands can either come to the shins or lift up onto the fingertips. Open the back of the legs. Lift the hips high. Draw the chest forward and the belly in. Breath. On the exhale, we're going to fold the ribs down into the thighs and let the head come down. We'll come up onto the fingertips again, or the shins. And a fold. Ourselves over the thighs. Come up again on the fingertips. And exhale down. And bring the hands onto the hips again. Let ourselves lift up. Inhale to the sky. Hands through the heart. Just take a moment here. I'm going to take a slightly modified tree. You could call this a pine tree or whatever you want it to be, but it's definitely not going to be the usual one. You bring the feet together, so have a little gap for the heels. And bring the hands in towards your heart. Find your focus point. So I've got a blank wall, which doesn't work really well. Either look into the ground between the floor and the wall, or the ceiling and the wall. Whichever finds an easier way for you to work through balance. I'm going to load the weight into the right leg. So I'm going to press that down first of all into the floor. And I'm going to lift up gently the left foot just on the tiptoes. Allow myself to turn the toes out to the side and take the foot just off that foot to the side. And then I'm going to bend the knee and bring my big toe onto the outside of my right foot. So I'm going to try and keep drawing my knee backwards behind me. So I'm putting as little weight into that big toe as possible. It's there just really as an anchor. And I'm trying to open this hip complex out to the side. So making an effort not to let the hips skew around. And then slowly I'm going to lift the toes off the floor. Draw the foot across the front of the thigh. Find my hand onto the ankle and hook the heel right into the top of the groin. Press the foot into the thigh. Now you can keep the hands in towards your heart or take them directly above your head or out towards the shoulder line. Your choice. Still working on opening that knee out towards the back of the mat. So really incremental stretch towards the rear. Bringing the groins open. Sometimes it's easier to do that keeping the hands a little bit lower. It allows you to focus a bit more on the hip. Well, ease the foot down gently to the floor. So bring the knee back in and let it back down. Shake out the feet just to give a little bit of release to that right leg, especially around the ankle, underneath the arch of the foot. Toes come together again, you find your point, and we load into the left leg. So we're careful not to push the knee back, but we want to press the leg down, keep the hip complex strong. Come up onto the tippy toe. Allow the right foot to go out so the toes point outwards to start with. Square in the hip. And then bend the knee, bring the toes onto the outside of that left foot, just a fraction. And as you're doing that, working on drawing that right knee towards the back of the mat. Now we'll take one more breath and then see if we can start to lift the foot across the front of that thigh. Use the hand onto the shin and the ankle, hook it high. Continue to draw that knee towards the rear of the mat. Just tiny little micro adjustments through the hips. And then we'll bring the knee back. Let the foot come down, shake it out. I'm going to come back onto my mat. Walk up to the very front, shake out the legs a little bit. And have the feet about hip distance apart. Let's take the hands towards the sky. Bring the hands in towards the heart. And hinge slowly down to the floor. Take a little breath. Allow myself to step the left foot back to find a position where I can let the hands come away from the floor and draw them alongside the body. So the palms face up a little bit, shoulders draw back, chest kind of lifts off the thigh. And then slowly going to lift my body up. Let the hands come forwards to a high crescent. So draw the ribs down, pubic bone forwards, square hips to the front of the mat. And bring the hands back in towards the heart. And try to drop the back heel gently down onto the floor into a warrior two position. So the toes are still pointed forwards a little bit. As we turn the chest to the long side of the mat, take the hands out. Turn the palm on the front hand for reverse warrior. Come back into warrior two. Now turn the hips gently down on the front side. Lengthen out. Bring the forearm onto the front thigh. Elevate the top arm towards the sky. Turn the palm forwards and lengthen out. Try and get the arm and ear to connect. And then as they do, you float gently back into your warrior two. Take a little breath here. Hands in towards the heart. Press away. Lift the back heel. Breath in. Hands down to the floor. Slowly. And then step it into the front of the mat. Hands onto the hips. And we'll lift up. Inhale high. Exhale low. Right foot back. Again, we're going to try the same as again. So check the front knee is over that front thigh. Bring the hands alongside. Palms up. Draw the shoulder blades back a little bit. Lift the chest as you draw the belly in. And then start to lift the body. And at the same time, let the hands float up. Palms facing in. Square hips. Strong back leg pressing out. And ease the hands in towards the heart. Drop the back heel down. Open out into warrior two. Turn the palm on the front hand. Exhale into reverse one. Breath in, back into warrior two. Exhale, drop the front hip. Lengthen out. Forearm, top hand lifts up. Arm touches the ear. We float back very gently into our warrior two. Square the hips. Hands in towards the heart. Press away. Breath. Exhale down slowly. Step it into the front of the mat. Hands onto the hips. And we lift. Inhale high. Hands through the heart. Exhale down, slow and low. Left foot back. Bring the hands alongside the hips, palms face up. Lift the chest, squeeze the shoulder blades together. When the belly's drawn in on the exhale, allow the body to lift. Take the hands high. Bring the hands in towards the heart once you've landed. Drop the back heel and open up into Warrior Two. Turn the palm, reverse Warrior. Back into Warrior Two. Drop the front hip down, extend out, forearm down, top arm up and over. Arm touches ear, chest faces the long side of the mat. You can take the arm up towards the sky. This time we're going to straighten the front leg and bring the hand onto the shin so we're into triangle pose. And soften the front knee, lift back into Warrior Two. Square the hips, hands to the heart. Press forwards as you lift the back heel. Exhale down. Step into the front of the mat. Hands on the hips. Take a little breath. We lift. Inhale high. Come through the heart. Exhale low. Right foot back. Hands draw away from the floor. A moment just to find our balance. And lift the body. Inhale the hands forwards up slowly. Let the hands come into the heart. Roll that back heel down. Allow yourself to open out into our Warrior Two. Turn the palm, reverse Warrior. Come back into Warrior Two. Drop the front hip. Extend out. Forearm to brace the thigh. Top arm touches the ear. You come back into Warrior Two. No, we don't. We take the hand up towards the sky. I almost remembered. And then straighten in the front leg. That triangle pose. I guess I just enjoyed the first round too much. Now soften the front knee. Come back up into Warrior Two. Hands in towards the heart. Press it away. Breath. Hands down to the floor slowly. Step into the front of the mat. Hands onto the hips. Let ourselves lift up. Inhale high. Exhale down to the floor. Now as we arrive, we'll step into down dog. And we'll take the left knee in towards the chest, to the outside of the left hand. Take the left hand forwards. Rotate the body into a little twist. Bring the hand down to the floor. Step it back into our down dog. Right knee in. Outside of the right hand. Right hand lifts, we twist. Hand comes down to the floor. Step back into our down dog. Walk the feet in gently, up onto the tippy toes. Straight legs, tiny steps. And then in finally into the fingertips. Hands onto the hips, we lift up. Inhale high. Exhale down. I'm going to step back into plank. Press out through the heels. Keep the hips high. Belly drawn in, we press away from the floor a bit rather than sinking into the shoulders. Now we're going to come down to the ground. So you could lower the knees and then lower the body, but if you're able to, push forwards a little bit on the tippy toes, bring the elbows into the ribs, and let yourself come all the way down as you exhale. As you arrive, we'll come into Sphinx Pose. So just bring in the elbows underneath and parallel. Allow yourself to roll the shoulders back a little bit and then broaden them out. Imagine that you're trying to take the shoulder blades apart, wider. Draw the belly in, press the thighs down, and if you can, you're going to turn the toes in and the heels out. The result of that is that you turn the top of the thighs inwards to the center line a little bit. You can still have the feet hip distance apart, but it just gives you a bit more of an opening in the spine. Then you can lift the chest up, draw the belly in tight, really work on that. Lifting, lengthening, shoulders broadening, front of the chest opens. And then we're going to let ourselves come down to the ground. So we're going to take the variation of low cobra. So bring the hands underneath the shoulders. And we're going to take the serpentine version. So elbows are into the ribs. Lift the left shoulder. Let the chest lift. Right shoulder lifts up. Left shoulder goes down. Roll the chest into the ground and drop the right shoulder. Take the right shoulder high. Work the chest away from the floor. Left shoulder. Right shoulder down. Chest to the ground. Left shoulder drops. Just working our way through. Rolling through the spine. Trying to coordinate it as fluid an action as we can manage. But exhaling around on the way up, certainly easier. Inhale on the way up. Exhale on the way down. Inhale up. And exhale down. Take a little breath. Now we're going to take the hands out so that the shape of our arms is a little bit like a cactus. And we're going to lift the chest and the forearms and the hands away from the floor. And then we'll see if we can lift the thighs off the ground at the same time. Bottom rib stays on the ground. Assuming you had a choice. Mine stays there automatically. Last breath. Bring the hands right to the bottom of the ribs. Keep the chest lifted and press into the floor to allow yourself to lift up. Now this time we'll bring the knees together and sit back onto the heels. We'll take child's pose, but I'm going to let the hands come underneath the head. Now if you're able to get to the floor very easily with the head in this pose, you can take the hands towards the toes. Your choice. If the head coming down means the hips lift, move back. Bring the hands forwards again. Let ourselves lift easily away from the ground. I'm going to come into Bandasana, so just moving the feet out to the side, towards the front of the mat, and lengthening out. So hands just to the side a little bit, shoulders roll back, sitting bones press down, feet flex back, toes big and little, same distance from the body. We'll take it into a seated twist. So we're going to take the right foot underneath and out towards the left hip. And draw the left leg across. Foot comes in close to the body. Knee is high, sitting bones are on the floor. Right arm lifts, rotate the body around. Just drop the the elbow onto the thigh there. So the forearm can either be high or it can be low. Really your choice. Try to ask yourself whether you're actually sitting upright in the pose, and can you let the bottom leg relax a little bit. Release from here, untangle the legs and take it to the second side. Try and get that foot flat to the floor. Remember the knee is high, drawn into the body, but then we lift up, roll the shoulders. Left arm lifts, we rotate around. Fingers really towards the outside edge of the mat rather than the center on that back hand. And release. And take the legs out in front, soles of the feet to the ground about hip distance apart, hands behind. So I've got my fingers pointing towards me, but it's wherever it feels easier on the shoulders and the wrists. Can draw the shoulders back and belly in. I'm going to allow ourselves to lift the bottom off the floor, slide it towards the heels, and let ourselves lift up. We're going to try and bring the hips to about the height of the knees. Come back down, lowering your bottom towards the heels, and then slide it back and come back into Bandasana. The fingertips on the ground, chest lifts, breath in. Bring the feet back in, soles to the feet to the ground, hands behind, little lift as we open the chest, move forwards, lift up, chin in towards the chest. Coming down, bottom towards the heels, slide back, press the heels forwards into Bandasana. So you want to press the feet forward a little bit so you don't end up running off the back of the mat. Otherwise, we won't be able to do enough. Bring the soles of the feet to the floor again. Chest lifts. We come forwards, lift, down, press away, slide the feet, come back up into Bandasana. Now you bring the feet together, draw the left heel into the groin, knee down low, block underneath if you need to. Front leg, little bend, hands onto the shins, Janu Sirsasana as we lift up. Drop the hips over the front thigh, and then bring the hands onto the front foot if you're able to, or just onto the shin. Now flex the toes back so the hands are used actually to pull back a little bit, so your shoulders retract. And then you press the heel away and the hip on that leg two different directions. It just opens out gently that front leg. And then we release. And we take the leg out again, sitting up nice and tall in Bandasana. Transition. Right heel comes in. Square the hips, little bend in the knee, hands on the shin, lift up. Fold the hips over the thighs. And then take the hands out. Then use the strength of the hands to draw the foot back. Retract the shoulder blades a little bit. Belly in. And then slowly lengthen the heel and the hip in different directions. And then we'll release. We come on to our backs again. So we take the knees high, hands behind, and roll the spine gently down. Bring the feet in towards the bottom, so they're on the center line. Take the arms out wide. We'll take a little breath. We'll shift the hips over to the right and let the legs drop down to the left. Some easy breathing. Just letting the legs hang. And we'll lift the knees back again. Bring the hips back into the center, and this time take them over towards the left as the legs go to the right. Making sure those shoulders are super relaxed. We'll finally lift the legs. Come back to the center line. Lengthen the foot gently out to each corner edge of the mat. The hands come alongside the body for Shavasana. So just lengthening the heels out, getting the shoulders underneath. We'll pulse through the feet backwards and forwards a few times to shake and jiggle through the body. And then soften. Let the legs just roll out. Breathe. Slow, deep, smooth breath. And carefully start to stretch the fingers and toes. And the wrists and the ankles join in as you breathe a little deeper into the ribs. Enjoy a stretch as you exhale. Whatever feels the most efficient way to stretch the body out. We'll slowly bring the knees in towards the body for a final little hug. Spur the hips knees around if that feels good, just rolling on the spine. And just really listening to your instincts, and trusting your body to send you the messages of what it needs. We'll slowly roll over onto our right side as we exhale. Take a breath here. And then use the hands to press into the floor on the exhale to move smoothly back up. Roll it into seated position. Last little wriggle of the shoulders, lengthening the spine as we bring the hands towards the heart. Taking a deeper breath. We start to drop the chin, closing the eyes, letting the belly draw in a natural bow form, sealing our practice for the afternoon. The inhale, let the body draw back up slowly until the head lifts and the eyes open. Namaste. Thank you very much for joining me.